we are so excited to have Jodi Mayers here on the podcast. Jodi is close friend of Katie and I's. She dresses us and keeps us looking fabulous. Today is not a representation of that, but we've known her for many years, and we are so excited to have you on today, Jodi.
Well, thanks for having me. It's really fun to be here.
Okay, so
Welcome.
Jodi, we always start off, we always want to know more about who you are, both personally and professionally.
Well, I actually started out in corporate America. I had jobs kind of bouncing around between Wells Fargo, Best Buy, Cargill. I actually have a master's degree in human resource development. So,
Know that.
yeah.
Okay, I learned all this when I was researching Jody for the podcast. I was like, this is Jody, you're so good with people. You're fabulous, but you're also like, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I have an undergrad degree from the College of St. Benedict and then went to grad school at the University of Minnesota. And started out at Accenture. And so a lot of my early work was done actually in retail and government sector. So um, I did that for many, many years and then kind of took a hard left when I had a health scare early on in my career and just decided to take a bit of a pause and try to figure out what it was that I wanted to do and knew that I needed to have a little more control over my schedule and my life, and that if I had to have periods of time where I had to slow up a little bit or take some time off, that I could do that. Um, and I didn't know what that was in the moment, but I actually stumbled upon a little store that was located on Main Street in Hopkins at the time. And they were in the midst of selling and I didn't it just kinda hit me really suddenly, but, it just so happened that I had been kinda putting my feelers out there to some of the people that I had in my past, asking if I could spend some time with them in their businesses to figure out what it is that I wanted to do when I grew up. And, this woman was selling her business, and the piece of her business that interested me is she had a wardrobing service that she was running out of her basement for professional women. And coming from Cargill, I knew very well that there were a lot of very successful women out there who had no time, interest, desire to do shopping, or necessarily the know how to pull it all together. And they would love somebody to do that for them. And so that piece of it really interested me. And I decided to jump into that piece of the business, which was essentially um, a service that was very much like Stitch Fix or Trunk Club
Mm,
before those got started.
Mm,
But it was hard because we were a little standalone business on Main Street in Hopkins, sending packages of clothes to women all over the country. And we were completely funding it ourselves. And it was
mm,
all coming out of that one little store. And think about it, when you're sending those clothes out to people and you have that much product off the floor, and you still have to have enough product in the
mm.
store for people who are coming in to shop. That's a lot to be managing with inventory coming in and out at any given time, and we were definitely shopping for 2 different customers, right? Those coming in the
Jody,
store.
you're running a supply chain.
But we
I know.
were! Oh my gosh, we were, for sure, and I don't have that background. I needed you to. I needed you to then. Yes. So that's where we started, and we ended up moving because we realized very quickly that our foot traffic for those just shopping the store wasn't what we needed in Hopkins. So we moved to Edina. We were down on 54th. And that's where we ended up being for about 5 years. That's kind of where the store took off for a bit. And then from there, I ended up when we decided to close the storefront, I hopped over to Ridgedale and was their in house personal shopper and stylist there for many years. And we used to hold appointments right there in a private shopping studio. We could pull product from all the stores within Ridgedale, and people would come in for private appointments there at Ridgedale. And then COVID hit, and everything changed again. And it's like, this is the story of pivot, pivot, pivot. Like we constantly were figuring out, how do we do this next? And at that point, we ended up doing a lot of going directly to the customer in their homes, helping people in their closets, figuring out kind of what they have, what they need, doing a lot of sourcing of product, not only online, but really trying to be ambassadors for the small businesses and stores that are located here within the Twin Cities. And then I really started to get into more of the bigger projects, helping with local fashion shows, profits, a lot of shows that were tied to some sort of fundraisers, if you will, in the Twin Cities here that had a bigger impact on our communities. So that's kind of like full circle, getting involved in a lot of different things, but that's how it started out. Is so pivot, pivot, right? And
Okay, I have a
I
Yes.
follow-up
needed you guys like
question.
15 years ago, and I didn't know it at the time.
So, Jody, would you have ever said you'd be doing what you're doing today? Like, in
No.
the beginning?
No, no, not at all. And I will say that if anything, I probably have too many tentacles off of this business because with all of those like changes as things happen, you kind of got into this mode of saying, sure, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. And with all these different experiences and backgrounds, places that we played, um, it's easy to say, yeah, we can help. We can jump in. We can do that. And then you realize you're like, how do we have this many things happening at one time? Like, how are our hands in this many different things? Um, and it's fun, right? Like, we enjoy doing all of that and we love all the partners that we get to work with. But there's different times of the year where it can get a little bit crazy. So, we have a lot of people that we pull in strategically at different times of the year, depending upon what it is that we're doing. And I have found that I'm operating much more under more of a collective sort of mindset these days because there's a lot of people with a lot of skills out there that we need at different times throughout the year, depending upon what sort of work it is that we're doing.
So, could you share with our listeners, like, what does your day look like today? Like, how would you describe like your business today, your role today, what you do?
So I do a lot of running around. In fact, a lot of my heads down work time happens after 5 p.m. because I'm usually bouncing around in my car. I will tell you on any given day, I'm usually do not want to put any clients in my car because my car is my office on wheels. Like you look in my back seat and I probably have 4 or 5 different things happening back there for 4 or 5 different clients, depending upon who I might run into or see or have a chance to drop something off at any given time. But it's usually a combination of meetings with individual clients, different retailers that I work with or different retail entities. And when I say entities, it might be like the 50th and France Business Association. It might be Explore Edina. It might be um, the Ridgedale Mall Management Office. It might be one of these nonprofit groups that I work with. So, like the University of Minnesota Foundation, we're just getting started with plans for Fashion Fest, which is a huge fundraiser we do in November. Right now, we're actually planning for a big show in at the end of May called Style Edina, which is going to include over 60 businesses in Edina between Galleria, Southdale Center, and 50th and France. So that's a lot of different partners that we're running around and trying to connect with on a regular basis. And we pull in about 50 volunteer models from within the community to help us put that show on. So when you're coordinating all of those people, it's a lot of time, a lot of effort, not just with dealing with fashion and fittings and product pulls, but it's also all of the advertising and marketing and promotion that goes on with that. So we're getting ready for a Care 11 segment. We're going to be on TV this coming Saturday. So part of it is also doing product pulls for that and fittings for that. And um, some of the video clips that we'll do with the partners that are participating in various aspects of that show. So yeah, it's any given day is not the same, which is also makes it hard sometimes to know what you're doing, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm sure I'm gonna forget something.
Jody, you have a background in human performance and consulting at in corporate world. So can you talk about how your corporate experience has shaped your understanding of personal style as like a strategic business tool more than just like it's a vanity, people want to look nice. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I think more than ever, I have a lot of executive women that come to me because they understand that more than ever, their wardrobe is one reflection of um, where they're going in their career. It's a reflection of their credibility. It's a reflection of how they carry themselves through their professional environment and how they show up and feel during the day. And it needs to be uh, functional for their lives. And these women are busy. They are also going to 100 different things throughout the course of their weeks, right? And these clothes have to be able to move with them through their professional um, business meetings. It has to go from work into social things at night with ease. It has to travel. And then they have these special event things that they're going to as well, where they are showing up either in roles where they're presenting, sometimes on stage to large groups of people, um, or they're showing up doing things even like this, where it's going to be recorded and stored out there for people to watch and see. And then they're like, okay, I can't be showing up in the same things all the time because people will remember this stuff. So, how do I have a variety of things without having to buy this stuff all the time? Um, and, it's hard and it takes a lot of time and money and energy to constantly be thinking about these things, planning for these things. And it's not necessarily where all of us want to put that energy or that focus or that time, right? Like there's a lot of other things that require that of us as
Yes.
females, especially not only just at work, but at home in our private lives, our families, everything else. And so I think having either resources, tools, other people, shortcuts, whatever it might be to help women navigate this piece, um, is huge. And so the females that have figured out, and I shouldn't say just the females. I've got a whole slew of male clients as well. But I think a lot of men look to their wives oftentimes to help or their partners to help them with this piece. Um, and the ones that have figured out that they're either their partners are not helpful with this or they don't want to have to rely on their partners for this, then they've looked to other people. This is something that can be just like anything else, right, in your life. If you can find that resource or that person, um, that tool that can make this easier, make it a little more automated, make it something that you don't have to think about too hard, this becomes a much more efficient and cost effective piece of your life.
I have a question, Jody. So would you say that the characteristics of why this is important for women is the same for men, or can they just get away with a little less in the fashion sense? Or do you feel like those things, do they matter as much?
So there is some overlap, but I do think men have a little easier time in that they really can get away with more of the like repetition in terms of mixing and matching of some of their core pieces. And I think women, we may not always want to admit this, but we dress up more for each other than we do for the men in our lives, right? Like, let's get
Yeah.
real. Um, and we tend to pay attention to what each other is wearing a whole lot more. I don't even know if I pay attention so much to what the guys are wearing. I'll notice a very nicely dressed man, but I don't know that I'm clocking like he wore that last week. Are you? I don't
Yeah.
know.
No,
Um,
not at all.
but we are constantly like paying attention to what other women are wearing because I think we're saying things like to ourselves, I really like what she's done there. I'm taking like notes for myself about things that I might want to try or
Mm.
Wow, that's interesting. I really like that. I'm gonna make a note of that and try to do that myself. Or I gotta ask her about that, right? Where does she get that? Um, there's certain things there where I think we're constantly learning from each other in terms of observation. Observation is a big thing. We take a lot from each other just by watching our peers, in terms of what they do from a fashion perspective. I
I
so
like it. I also appreciate too, you do because you've obviously worked with both me and Courtney over the years. And as you're talking, like, somebody doesn't have time. And I was like, I don't. Like, I'm tall. They don't make clothes for tall women. It's a drag to go shop, or it's always in navy and black and nothing else. But one of the things I have learned with you is like, one, I think mixing and matching. I think I was like so narrow in what is possible. And now I also observe, I think a little bit more like, oh, I love that. What does that look like? And then once you get that system down, it's so helpful. And you do feel good when you walk in someplace where you're just like you're in something just like you said, it is you feel your best. And I think there is something about like you can like I don't know, like you do your best then too.
Yeah, that's a
And
what is
you're
that, the
comfortable.
Deion Sanders quote?
yes, absolutely. And,
We're gonna
the
say like,
other
oh,
thing
oh
too, which you mentioned about the men and the women, the other thing that's hard is,
shoot.
especially I think probably, and you guys have probably experienced this when you're in a fairly male dominated industry, is you also probably have the extra expectation of how do I show up in a way where I'm going to be perceived as credible and considered to be an equal to my peers. But I don't want to necessarily dress like a man. I don't want to show up always having to be in these like
Khaki, a blue shirt.
yes, right? Like, I show my personality. I still wanna have feminine things about my outfit and how like, those kinds of things shouldn't have to be sacrificed in order to still show up in your industry and be perceived as credible and hold your own amongst a whole group of men. Like, those things can exist in the same space together, and that's the piece that's like, how can I help my clients figure out how to balance those things, right? Those can be hard areas to navigate sometimes when you're I would say, and that's something that's true probably for young women that are getting into any sort of a professional environment across the board, right? Is how do I do that when I'm buying professional clothes for the first time in a work environment that maybe is a little bit more professional? Um, I need more work business attire, um, for my job, or I'm going to be interacting with people that are going to probably expect a different level of dress than what I'm used to. I can't afford to be buying certain levels of clothes.
Mhm.
So, how do I show up in a way that makes me look professional and credible, but I still feel like myself? I'm still young. I'm still trendy. I'm still cool, right? Like all these things, right? We don't want to sacrifice that. So, how do we balance those things?
So one of the things you've taught me, Jody, of like when to invest in certain pieces. 'Cause I think people just think and I know when I talk to people, I know Katie about you, where I'm like, "I have a stylist." They're like, "Oh my god, that must be, like, so expensive." Like, I'm like, "It's actually fairly reasonable if you think about how we just the time and everything else." But I think you've helped me, like, sometimes I'll show you something, you're like, "No, don't do that's too much. Don't pay for that." So, like, I'm investing in the right pieces, and the pieces that I've made investments in, I've had those for forever, for years, and just, like, having the right fabric, and so I paid for some pieces at the moment where I'm like, "I can't believe I paid that for pants," but I still have those pants. They're like a staple. Some of the suits, Katie and I have you helped us do our first custom suit, which we both like, we look amazing. We didn't even know
Oh,
that
it's a
was a
million
thing.
bucks. Yeah.
I know, and, I mean, it just to have something that fits your body and to your point, like, you feel confident, and that's an investment, and, but also I do think when you coming out of school, and I can say to speak for myself, I bought a lot of cheap like, that was when it was fast fashion. There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with people loving fast fashion, but I did realize, like, I'm probably spending as much on things I gotta replace more often, and now I'm replacing, like, T-shirts and tanks, but most of my work pieces are pretty, consistent and still stylish year to year, which I think that's also important too. But you've helped me kind of know what to buy, what fits my body, what I feel good in, but what to invest in and what not. And that's something I didn't think about before, for sure.
Yeah,
Jody, I like
yeah,
kind of building on that, like Jody, for our listeners who are just now like joining the workforce, they do want to make sure they look professional. They still want to be their authentic selves, and they might not have the budget of an executive. So, like, where should they start?
yeah,
Ooh, I like that.
that's great. So a couple of things. First of all, I always am telling folks that Um, all trends are not for all people. So we have to be careful with the trends, and which is why I really appreciate what you just said, Courtney, about some of those like classic pieces, especially for the work attire, those really don't go out of style, right? So if you can find some key core pieces, and I like to call these your staples. If you can invest in those core staple pieces that will be the foundational items in your closet, those are the things that are going to last you for years. They're going to live in your closet for years. Now, I will say the biggest issue for us as women, I think, is to maintain sizing over the course of several years, right? Because our bodies tend to change. That can be where we run into maybe issues sometimes with things continuing to fit the same way. Whereas men have usually an advantage a little bit with that. They don't tend to fluctuate quite as much as women do. Um, but the stuff that you don't want to spend a lot of money on are things that do feel very trendy, things that feel that are more what I would call the accents or accessories to things. So you can make those core pieces look very, very different by adding things to it. So if you think about maybe the shirts that go underneath some of those key suiting pieces, or jackets, trousers, skirts, dresses, those kinds of things, anything that is directly against your body, chances are those pieces are going to have to be replaced more often. We sweat in them. They have to be laundered more often. So those things are going to start to show their wear and tear more frequently. Um, Accessories, everybody loves a great pair, like a great set of jewelry. But those are also things where if you invest in a few pieces that aren't as expensive that you can let go of at some point because you're kind of over it, then you don't feel so bad about those things. And that's an easy way for you, scarves, jewelry, whatever it might be, for you to change up the look of an outfit. Shoes, same sort of thing. Comfort, yes, absolutely is important. But if you can find some decent shoes without spending a ton of money, then you don't feel so badly when you might move on to something different. And I know I spent a lot more time in higher heels when I was younger than I do now. I wish I hadn't spent as much money on shoes when I was younger as I did, because I have a closet full of gorgeous shoes that I can barely get my feet into anymore because they hurt. They hurt. And I used to be okay with that, and I'm not anymore now. So I will be consigning a lot of those shoes. Right now, they decorate my closet, like, they make everything look pretty, but I can't really wear them anymore. So these are things where, invest in the things that are likely to last. Don't invest in the things that are likely to be replaced, changed, or you think might be something you're trying out but aren't sure if you're going to continue to like. It's always um, if you're engaging in a trend but you're not sure if it's for you, definitely don't spend a lot of money on those things. And it's always easier to test something out as an accessory versus a core piece of clothing. Um, when you're doing that to start out. So a couple of things also. Secondhand stores are awesome ways for you to get things at a lesser price, and most of them now have such high standards for which they will accept pieces that most of the time they still have tags on them or they're hardly been worn. These rental companies for clothing are a great way to also try out a lot of different things, especially if you're not sure. about brands, how they fit, what sizes you are. It's a great way for you to get a sense for what you like. And because you can keep pieces that you actually really like, it's a nice way for you to try a lot of different things, wear things, get a lot of different looks, and not actually have to keep any of the pieces long term. And you can adjust that based on your budget, how many pieces you get per month. So that's a nice way to do it as well. But the last thing I'll say is if you do end up with things that you are not wearing, I highly recommend that you think about consignment to earn a little bit of money back for those things if you've taken good care of them, and then reinvest that money back into some new pieces.
I still remember this going through the closet with you, Jody, many years ago. And I was like embarrassed by how long I had hung on to some things. I was like, haven't worn that in like 7 or 8 years. And it's like, it's time to give it a new home. Like, it's just time to give it a new home. Like, sometimes it was like, it just doesn't fit. Like, you bought it because it was on sale, but you didn't really like
Mhm,
love it. Yeah, so many things. So, I appreciated your help with that because I feel like I've tried to maintain that
mhm.
now in my
Good.
I did
closet.
find, to your point, Katie,
Yeah,
especially for me, if I spent a lot of money on it and I didn't wear it, it was hard to, like, get
let it
rid of it.
go.
So, like, yesterday, Jody was here, she's like, "We're gonna consign this shirt." It still has the tags. We bought it, I don't know how long ago, probably over 2 years, I don't even remember. And it's a lovely shirt, and it didn't fit me, it was, like, too big, now it's definitely too big. And it was it was on sale, but still expensive, so I'm just like, "We're just gonna carry it for the day that I'm gonna wear it." And she's like, "We're gonna consign it, like, let's let it go." And it is hard. Cheap stuff, I'm like, "Okay, that's fine," but some of the you spent money on it, and you're like, "Okay, I feel like I need to wear it." So,
There's a
okay.
lot of emotional attachment with clothes, and that's the thing that's hard, right? Sometimes it's just, I got this somewhere with somebody, there's memories attached to
Mm,
something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, I spent too much money on it, I feel some guilt around that. There's all kinds of different things that are all wrapped up in this, so that's why I think it's hard, but if there's a way that you can put yourself into some sort of a cycle or a pattern where you're reviewing your items regularly, even if it's just seasonal, then it at least keeps you kind of honest with yourself about what am I actually wearing. Sometimes less is better. You can see the trees through the forest when you get too much in there that you're not actually wearing. Actually fail to see the pieces that are working well for you, and if you can't see the pieces that are working well, you're missing those opportunities to put together new combinations with your workhorse items. So that's the stuff you want front and center so that you can see all the possibilities.
So one of the things you talk about, Jody, is that fit is more than a size. So could you share, like, when you're out shopping, you're trying on this outfit, you're looking in the mirror, how should you be looking for things as far as like it fits your body, but it also fits your personality and maybe your brand too?
Yeah. This is the biggest thing for me, and I'm so frustrated with my clients when we go shopping together because the brands are so all over the board in terms of sizing and fit, and no wonder people get into dressing rooms with a size they think they are and get frustrated because some things are too big, some things they can't even slide up over their hips. Like it's all over the place. And they're like, why is it that nothing fits correctly? Right. And you take your clothes off, you're like, I'm not getting dressed again. I'm not going to run out there and try to find something else. There's nobody here to help me. Like, I feel like I'm just like, forget it. It's too hard. I get it. I get it, because even when I'm trying to pull for people, and if I'm not familiar with how certain brands are fitting, I don't know how to do this, and if I'm not there to run back out and find it for somebody, like, no wonder people are frustrated with this. So, um, one is that's why I think the rental companies can be very helpful, right? Because it allows you to kind of play with that a bit. But two, I wanna say size doesn't mean anything. We've gotten so skewed with vanity sizing, first of all, that people in some of the brands, they will say something is a 4 even though it's cut more like a 10, and that's just to make us feel better about things. The other thing is that the European sizes are never cut like the American sizes. You might end up in a 14 in something if you're a 10, in the European sizes because those are just they're not made for all the curves and all the things happening here with us in America, okay? Let's just get real. And then the other thing too is that it does not at the end of the day, clothes that fit your body are always going to make you look way better than trying to get your body into something that is not fitting you correctly. I don't care if you're squeezing yourself into something that is a size too small, if it does not matter. If something is made for you, if it fits you well, not only does it look better, the way you will hold yourself in those clothes makes all the difference in the world in terms of presentation and overall uh, visual final product. Like it's your confidence at the end of the day is what makes the clothes look good. And you feel good, the clothes look good. You can sell anything, I'm telling you, if you're feeling good in clothes. And when you feel well supported and hugged right in clothes that fit your body correctly, it makes
Right. Hugged right.
a
Hugs right.
100% difference. Um, I also like the fact that you brought up personality, Katie, because um, when you put somebody in something that aligns with who they are on the outside and the outer package is finally in alignment with that person's personality, something happens on the outside of the like their facial expression. It's like a light comes on inside of them. You see it on their face, everything. The thing that's so funny for me when I'm with people in the dressing room is I can tell in 2 seconds if they're not feeling something. And I'll be like, they'll stand there and I'll be like, "Take it off." And they're like, "What?" And I go, "You don't like it." And they're like, "How do you know?" And I go, I can tell by the way you're looking at yourself in the mirror." And they're like, "Well," I go, "No, if you don't love it, we should not be in it. Like take it off. It's not it. This isn't the piece. Take it off."
That's
And they're
my
like,
favorite
"I can't
quote from
believe
you,
you can tell
Jody,
that."
that I keep with me because 'cause I'm like, "Do I love it? If I don't love it, I put it back." I'm like,
Yes.
"Mm-mm."
And that's what you
Mhm.
should
Other
do.
favorite from Jody is it's not a good fit, and you are very gracious. You're like, "We can do better."
We
That's
can
what you
Yes,
say.
I love that
You
one.
always say, "We can do better," and I'm like, and I keep that with me. I'm like, "Nope,
we
I can do
can.
better."
We can do better. Until I get this from Katie, it's not good. It's not good enough. It is not good enough for you. I'm sorry, it isn't. Like, that's what we
So
need. Why I gotta get the full body smile, that's it. That's what we're
So,
looking
Jody,
for.
you dress Katie now for many different things, from panels to speaking events to everyday just work. How do you help clients? We talked about like you keep our signature style in navigating across so many different areas. And it's funny because, when people find out you dress us, and Katie and I dressed so different. And that we were worried about it, like, are we gonna start looking like having this not at all. And even when all the other women from General Mills started dressing, I see everyone different. And I'm like, oh, that's really nice. So how do you make sure everyone keeps like their who they are, like your personality, but also, like, how do you keep your style through all the different kinda activities? Like, how do you coach your clients through that?
I think it's really important that we stay as stylists, very attuned to the person's individual sense of who they are and their comfort level. Like I would not be good at my job if I were pushing my own
Mm,
personal preferences on everybody, right? Like there's a point where I mean I can make recommendations, I can make suggestions and say this is something that I really enjoyed if I think that it might work for a particular person. But you can tell pretty quickly upon meeting somebody like where their comfort level is. And while it might be our job as stylists to help them expand kind of their zone of comfort and to try a few things here and there so that they can get into some new territory. Um, we should never be pushing them to the point where they don't feel like themselves or good in what it is that they're wearing, right? Like we have not done them any favors. We're not helping the confidence if people are like, I'm uncomfortable in
mm,
what I'm wearing. So it's important that not only are you reading body language, but you're listening to what it is that they're telling you. I have had, I'll be completely frank, I've had so many situations where there have been people who have come into styling sessions that I had never met in person. We've only like had maybe a survey that they filled out and a brief conversation on the phone. And they walked in and I took one look at them and I'm like, I have to go repull because some of the
Mm,
things I had there for them, I'm like, this is not the right stuff for you. Just based
mm,
on my immediate like look at them, I'm like, nope, this isn't going to work. So,
mm,
like, we can just tell sometimes that we're in the wrong direction. We got to pivot, whatever it might be. But there's also a bit of learning. I mean, we've been working together for a while now. And I will tell you, when I first met with you guys, you were giving me similar answers. Like, you were like, here's what we wear at General Mills. We wear jeans, branded t-shirts and blazers and sneakers. Like, that's our look, right? And you all were kind of giving me the same thing. And I was like, okay, but you don't all want to show up wearing the same stuff, do you? Right? And you slowly started to evolve based on what it is your individual personalities were telling me. And so that's how we got there. But I had to start with where you said you were. And then we evolved from there based on as I got to know each of you. So that comes in time as you get familiar and comfortable with each other too. I always tell people we might not hit a home run our first session out of the gate. Like this is like any sort of a relationship. It takes a little bit to get familiar and comfortable with each other. But like dating, we have to spend that time getting comfortable and we have to share with each other a little bit about what we like, what we don't like, and what's working for us. And there is some vulnerability in that too. And so people have to be willing to open up about that to some extent with me as well in order and sometimes that's about like the things that they don't particularly love about themselves, what they struggle with, where they're self-conscious. Sometimes it's those kinds of conversations that help me figure out the best way to assist.
do you think it's funny, like, everybody has, like, mine as my arms, like, I hate showing my arms, and it's those random things or
It's
places,
random
like,
things, but
Jody
also
knows.
I feel like too, like working in like the manufacturing plants for so long and then working in India too, like I feel like I didn't want any kind of V-neck. I was like, that
Oh,
feels like
yeah.
it's too much. And Jody was like, Katie, it's
It's a V-neck.
collarbone and that's
It's a
okay.
V
It's collarbone, Katie. It's okay.
not even cleavage, just a collar.
It's just like,
Jody,
you're
you don't
okay.
know what the life where it's like if you show like an inch of skin, it's like a thing.
I know.
Like you just and I'm like and then because I mean we were wearing I mean you would die. I mean it was like pleated pants and polos. Like it was that's what the day to day
Really evolved
was.
into those t-shirts and blazers.
We
That was
evolved
what
to the
mixed it up.
t-shirts, like the polo with the pleated pants. I was like, these were not made for any woman to feel good at all. But yeah, you in the V-neck.
It's
I
so
was like,
funny.
you said it's collarbone.
That's one of my favorite parts on the woman's body is the collarbone. I love it.
Well, Jody's taught me about wrist action because I'm
Mhm.
always like
Yeah, you gotta zhuzh
wrist
that
and
sleeve.
ankle. I never was
Make the
showing
ankle.
wrist. I was like, I don't know, I was afraid to show out like
For most of us, those are some of the smallest parts of our bodies. I'm like,
I
"Here we
know, and I'm
go.
like, this
Let's
is
show 'em off, ladies. Let's show 'em off."
Jody's like, "That's the smallest part of your body. Show your wrist." I'm like, "No, I'm rolling up my thing now." I'm like, "Wrist."
Actually, the
No, I roll all my if this long sleeve they get rolled, I'm like, the
Mhm.
wrists will be bared.
it's actually the reason that I tell everybody that is because often our clothes look like they're wearing us, and it's those
Mm,
little tweaks of giving more skin to clothing proportion that all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, now I have more of my body showing than the clothing, and so now it looks like I'm actually wearing the clothes versus so much of the clothes covering my body that it looks
mhm.
like the clothes are wearing me." So it's a balancing
Gotcha.
trick, that's all it is.
Your balancing tricks are so good.
So good.
Okay. I also this is one of my core Jody memories. You came to my closet and I was like, I feel like I have this closet full of clothes and I feel like I have nothing to wear. Now we did move some things on because it was time to Marie Kondo them, say thank you.
Thank
It's
you
your
for your
turn to move on and go to someplace else.
yes, your
Thank you.
service.
But you actually put together, I was like, wow, I feel like I got 20 new outfits out of the things that I already had in my closet. So for somebody who's like walking in there, like how could they start that process?
Yeah.
We will
So
include all your info in the show notes in case they want to work with you too. But if
yeah,
they're on their own, what should they
no,
do?
for sure. So a couple of key things. First is if you're not dividing up your closet by season, and I'm not saying 4 seasons, just 2 would be fine. Spring, summer, fall, winter. That's important. And part of it, again, is just whittling it down so you're not looking at so much at one given time. If you're not wearing it because it's the wrong time of year, get it out of your line of sight.
Mm,
That makes a huge difference in terms of you being able to see the possibility. The other thing, too, is depending upon how you organize your closet, um, I sometimes, a lot of people are very specific about like how they do it. It might be by color, it might be by the type of clothing. They might have like all the sleeveless tops, then the short sleeve tops, then the long sleeve tops, then the whatever, right? I sometimes just put things together based on similar color palettes. I don't worry about whether it's the same type of item because that helps me see new combinations of
mm,
things that might go together. So I oftentimes will tell people to mix up how they have their stuff in their closets because it will give them maybe new ideas of what things could go together. I also find that when people take things out of their closet and then put things back in, just the process of things being thrown on the bed together all of a sudden puts things next to each other that maybe aren't normally. And they're like, oh, I kind of like the way that looks together. That's always an interesting trick. Most of the time, it's that we're creatures of habit. We get into ruts. We tend to wear things the same way. Um, the biggest thing is I often will encourage people to think about wearing things differently. So, if you have always worn, for instance, a blouse for work, I'm going to say, how about you try to wear that blouse by itself with a pair of jeans and a fun pair of shoes for a night out with your girlfriends? See if giving it a different purpose gives it a new life. Do you tend to pair it with different bottoms, thinking about it in a fun frame versus a work purpose frame, right? So how are you wearing it? Where are you wearing it? If it's the frame in which you're thinking about it that changes the perspective, then maybe you all of a sudden see it as having potential new partners for pairing. The other thing too is I really love juxtapositions of put something dressy with something casual, put a solid with a pattern, put two patterns together. Just don't do two big patterns or two small patterns. Do a big and a small. Play around a little bit with things. The last thing I will say is to go back to your comment, Katie, about I hadn't touched something in several years. When you're going through your closets by season, turn all of your hangers around backwards so that you start with them all in one direction. And then when you go to wear something the first time, flip it around so it's in the other direction. You will very
Ooh.
yes, I
clearly
do this,
see
yes.
by the end of the season what you touched and what you didn't. And anything that is still hanging in the opposite direction, that is a very easy way for you to quickly assess, do I still want this in my closet or not? If it's still hanging backwards, do I use it? Do I not use it? Does it get another chance? Does it survive another season and revisit it next year? Or do I make this a priority to try to like work into an outfit and see if I can do something with this because it was completely ignored this last go around. So those are just a few quick tips, or maybe those are the pieces then that become your consignment pile, your donation pile. Maybe it needs to be altered. Alterations can totally change the way something fits you and therefore how you feel about it, how often you're wearing it. And I have great resources for that too if people need some help finding someone who can do alterations.
Love it.
Okay, Jody, we're gonna do a quick lightning round between you and Katie. Me and Katie, sorry, not you and Katie. Katie and I are just like quick questions or kind of tips that we think people are interested in. They're
Okay.
gonna know the answer to this one, but I'm gonna ask. So, high heels or power flats for a day-long conference?
Power flats.
I was gonna say, but Jody, if you're on stage, what should you wear?
Ooh,
I would say a monochromatic power suit.
All right. And then what is one accessory that can save any boring outfit?
A great scarf.
Ooh.
ooh. Okay, we already talked about the keynote one. Okay, what's your favorite, might be hard to say, Twin Cities hidden gem to find a unique piece?
I am going to say June. June
Ooh,
resale.
the one up here?
Mhm.
Ooh, I've never been. Okay.
Nice. All right. And if you could only use one word to describe how you want women to feel when they walk out the door, what would it be?
Invincible.
Ooh,
Ooh, it's a great one.
didn't expect
Nice.
that one. Oh my god, that was a good one. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jody. This has been amazing. I learned so much more about you that I didn't know. And I should, because I talk to you all the time. Saw you yesterday. So this has been like so great and like so many great tips. And I will just put a plug. As Jody mentioned, Style Edina's coming up. We'll add some of the details in our show notes. Katie and I have gone to tons of Jody's events. Everything is always
I always walk
amazing.
away with something too that I
Last time
find
we
that I
left with like
love.
a fur coat. We all had
I
fur
do. I
coats.
got a
We did
fur
it.
coat one.
So
Actually,
now
at Style Medina, I got that black one with like the lace kind of
I got the fur
sleeve.
vest that I don't.
Oh,
And
you
then like
did.
me and Katie followed the Instagram woman, and she's just like, "Just put on your fur. Who cares? Like,
Who
just
cares?
wear it.
Going to
Just
power yoga? Put it on.
put
Go to
it
the grocery
on.
store? Put it on.
Yep.
Put it
Go
on.
to Target in your pajamas, just add the
Just
fur.
put on a fur."
Yep.
So, yes, Jody's, yeah, there's amazing events, and they're always just, like, really well done, and you'll find some interesting new pieces. I like the expanding kind of your wardrobe and thoughts, but we were just so happy to have you, and thank you for helping Katie and I, really, like, show our full selves and, like, all the ways that we show up today, and I'll tell you for myself, I can speak for Katie too, like, like, this help with our confidence and how we show up at work and in life. So thank you.
Well, you two are an absolute pleasure. I enjoy both of you so much, and you have been amazing at referring people to me too. So thank you for that. Can I do a quick plug for Style Edina?
Absolutely. Whatever you want, Jody.
Yes.
So I will tell you, this has been an annual fashion show for us. We're in our ninth year, and we decided to do something a little differently this year. We are expanding it to 3 full days, and we're doing that because we're trying to involve more of our businesses and more of our community. So instead of just being the apparel retailers that we feature in the show, it's becoming a dining, shopping, spa, complete hospitality, curated 3-day event where we're inviting people in not only from here in the Twin Cities, but outside of the Twin Cities in greater Minnesota and beyond Minnesota to come experience the hospitality of Edina and really enjoy discounts, promotions, special activations that over 60 stores and businesses are offering, exclusive only to pass holders for the Style Edina weekend that we're selling. And part of that is we are putting these curated white glove concierge-like services wrapped around these 3 days where we're providing transportation between Galleria, Southdale Center, and 50th and France, doing happy hours. We have all sorts of things going on that will really allow you to come in and enjoy yourself. And so, if there are listeners here that have been looking for opportunities to come in, meet each other, network, that's going to be part of this, as we have so many amazing professional people that are looking for ways to shop and engage. But we're also hoping that there will be some great networking and connection that happens with all these people too. So we invite your listeners to come and join us for that weekend. So it's May 29th through the 31st with the Style Edina Fashion Show as the anchor event, culminating the weekend on Sunday the 31st.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
Thank you
thank you,
guys.
Jody. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So good.
All right.